We're going to do a thing called polynomial division. So polynomial division. And the idea is taking something like x cubed minus 6x squared minus 6x plus 20 and dividing it by x plus 2 and kind of coming up with what else do we have? How can we rewrite this? It helps us in calculus. We do this a lot when we're trying to figure out how to do something with a function and look at its derivative. And so the process is an important piece. It's how do we split something up? So let me back up and say, what if I gave you something like 342 and I said, let's divide that by 3. Now, back in grade school, I know you can get a calculator out and do that, but let's pretend you don't have a calculator. And back in grade school, what you may have remembered doing is we did long division like this. And we said, how many times does 3 go into 342? And what we did first is we said, okay, let's look at how many times 3 goes into 3. So this 3, so let me see if I can highlight it, this 3 going into that 3. And we know that that's 1 time. So if we would take 1 times 3, we get 3. And if we subtract this, we get 0. And then the process that we did is we dropped this 4 down. And we said, okay, how many times does that 3 out here, put it in a different color, that 3 out here, go into this 4? Well, 3 goes into that 4 1 time. 1 times 3 is 3. If we subtract it, we get 1. Then finally, drop this down, and we get this to be 2. And then we say, how many times does this 3 go into 12? 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12, and we get 0. What we find out then is this value up here is our answer. This value down here is our remainder. So 342 divided by 3, if you put that into a calculator, you get a 114. Now, that one worked out perfectly. Let me show you another one. I'm not going to do all those lines to get everything around there, but back that up, watch that again, because that process is what we're going to use even with that problem right there. So, first thing I want to do, let me just make up a new problem. Let me make up a problem something like 513 divided by 4. So 513. I know 4 goes into 5 1 time. 1 times 4 is 4. If I subtract these, I get 1. Drop this down to here. 4 goes into 11 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. 11 minus 8 is 3. 4 goes into 33 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32, and there's 1 left over. So this and this is our answer now. And so 513 divided by 4 is the same as 128 and there's 1/4 left over. So that's another way we can do that. And if you checked it out, if you did it on a calculator, you get 128.25, and that's the answer. Now, let's look at this one in terms of this polynomial dividing thing, this problem that we had at the beginning, that one. And let's use the same idea to come up with this value. And it's really important to go in and do this and keep your thoughts organized. So is this as much as an organizational kind of thing as anything else? So we have x plus 2, and we have x cubed minus 6x squared minus 6x plus 20. So if I go through here, notice that if I want this to be x cubed here, I would need to multiply that x by an x squared. If I multiply x squared times x, I'd get x cubed. But then I also have to multiply that x squared times 2, so to get plus 2x squared. So notice that I have these columns, like that's the x squared column. If I subtract these, these go away. We get 0. That's what we want to have happen. That needs to have happen. And if we do negative 6x minus negative 6x squared minus 2x squared, that's negative 8x squared. Because remember, this is a subtraction out here. So we're subtracting these things. So we get negative 8x squared. Bring this down, minus 6x. Okay, so let's look at the next level. What do we have to multiply this x by to get negative 8x squared? Hopefully you kind of go, oh, well, we have to multiply it by negative 8x. But then we also have to take this negative 8x and multiply it by this 2 to get negative 16x. And we're going to subtract these. Notice if we subtract these, we get 0 on the first one. And if we do negative 6x minus negative 16x, because notice that these would be added now because of that subtraction being distributed through. So this is 10x, and we bring down the 20. So now x, in order to get 10x down here, this would need to be 10. If we multiply that 10 by the 2, we get 20. And if we subtract this, we get 0. So this right up here, that right there, is our answer. That's our answer. So what I mean by that being our answer is actually another way to write x cubed minus 6x squared minus 6x plus 20 divided by x plus 2. Another way to write that, the actual equivalent way to write that, would be x squared minus 8x minus 10. That would be the same thing. So if I go down here, if I wrote in x squared minus 8x minus plus 10, minus x plus 10 here, should be plus 10, plus 10, submit that answer, and I'll get it. Now, they go through it, and notice the columns that they line up, and you can see how they go through it. It's the same thing I just did, and hopefully that makes sense. They didn't do a very good job of lining up their thing up here. I like to line everything up in columns. So notice that in my situation, notice that if you split this into columns, I got an x column, an x cubed column, I got an x squared column, I got an x column, and I got a constant column. So I kind of split it into columns there, and I think that's the easiest way to organize your thoughts. Let me do one more of these, and then I will give you, I'll let you work on those, and I'll give you a new video. So let's take a look at this one. So we got 3x minus 5. I'm not going to do all those drawings around, so hopefully you can make sense of it. Watch these videos a couple times. Probably will help you. Okay, I will do it in separate colors. So the first thing I'm going to do, in order to get 9x cubed, I got to multiply by 3x squared. That makes this 9x cubed minus 15x squared. Now remember, I am subtracting this. So that makes this negative and this positive. So let me go back through that again. Notice that if I subtract this, this is already subtraction. If I distribute that negative here and here, it would make the second one positive. So this would be 9x squared, and we would drop this down. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what to get 9x squared. Well, that would be plus 3x. That's 9x squared minus 15x. Again, if I go through this, subtract, I now have negative 12x plus 20. The last piece would then be, if I multiplied by negative 4, that would make this negative 12x plus 20. And notice when I subtract these, I get 0. So that's my answer to this one. Right up here, this is my answer to this problem. Right there. That's what I'm going to type in. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to type in 3x squared plus 3x minus 4, and that should be my answer. Unless I made a mistake. I don't think I did. There you go. That's the answer. I'm going to stop this video and give you a new video for the next problems.